Hi, everyone. It's Terri Tomoff and Brittany Ross. I'm so excited to end Childhood Cancer Awareness Month on September 30th, today, with Brittany Ross, who is a childhood cancer survivor who is 40 years old. And look at her t shirt. Stand up, Brittany. It says, Childhood Cancer picked the wrong princess. You know
Oh,
why? Because Brittany is a Disney fanatic.
yeah,
She loves musical theater. She loves all that has to do with it, like
yeah.
Disney and the princesses, and you had everything. We met Brittany and her parents back in December of what year
2000.
was it? 2000. That's right, because Ryan had just relapsed in September, and Brittany came in mid December,
Yep.
and we were next door neighbors in the hospital for a long time.
A long time.
Yes. So we've known each other for many years now, 25 years.
Yeah.
And I just want to say that Brittany's had challenges, of course, but she's also had some really interesting and fun things happen. She's been married 12 years yesterday, so happy anniversary
Thank
to
you.
her
Oh,
love of her life, Patrick. And she's going to talk a little bit about her hospitalizations, and also she's a dog mom of two really cute dogs. So I
yeah.
want you to talk about that. So anyway, let's start with your diagnosis and what you had, and you know,
So I was diagnosed with AML or
yeah,
acute myeloid leukemia
yeah,
um, at the age of 15 on December 12th of 2000
yeah.
and ended up being treated at Georgetown University Hospital in the pediatric cancer ward, literally right next door to Terry and her son Ryan.
Right.
Um, and yeah, that started a long journey.
Yeah,
And everything happened pretty quickly.
yeah. Because you had, your first hospital stay was quite long, if I recall.
Yeah, yeah. The first round was 35 days.
Yeah,
And initially when they diagnosed me, I was given like 3 weeks to live and a 5 to 15% chance
I
of
remember
survival.
that. Oh my God, your parents were like a mess coming out of that after
Parents
they told
were
me.
an absolute wreck.
But guess
Um,
who? Well, but we share a common doctor, the
of
best
course,
doctor in the
Dr.
world.
Shad, who has been nothing short of amazing with both of our families, and
Absolutely.
she was the best of the best, and you
Still
know
is.
still is
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah,
still
yeah.
is going strong. Um, and yeah, so it was 35 days in, pretty much chemo 24/7,
Right, I
not
remember.
um,
And
and
you had,
luckily I ended up celebrating my sweet 16 in the hospital
that's
at
right.
the 16 party in the pediatric cancer clinic, which was not exactly the place I would have imagined having my sweet 16, but
Never.
that was, you know,
Very, yeah. Well, you celebrated well, so
yeah,
we all have fun.
exactly.
Yeah.
That was on January 13th of 2001. And then luckily I was given the best sweet 16 gift, which happened 4 days later on January 17th
Yep.
of 2001. And I was declared in remission and cancer free. And so they sent me home for 3 weeks to give my body time to recover and
Yeah.
recuperate. And then I remember what day I went back in because it happened to be on my parents' 17th wedding
Oh,
anniversary,
there you go.
February 5th of 2001.
Yeah.
And and I went back in for another round of 45 days to make sure that they had gotten every little last tiny bit of it out of my system. Um, and yeah, that was another 45 days. And then I was released for the final time, I think on March 21st of 2001.
Wow. That is wonderful.
Yeah.
And here she is today, 40
Yeah.
years old, and able to say that she's proud to be a childhood cancer survivor and just living this,
Yeah.
it's a good life from what
Yeah.
we talked about. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
for
so I
sure.
have a couple questions for Brittany because, I think it'd be a good thing to wrap up this month. And the first one is, what were some of the small wins you had?
So given the kind of intense and aggressive chemo that I was being given, I ended up basically getting down to 80 pounds. I was three
Wow.
quarters gone. I was,
You were
pretty much
thin.
bones at that point. And, you know, I was laying in a hospital bed pretty much the whole time. I wasn't able to like leave my room. I couldn't get up. So just, having to work with a physical therapist just to be able to like sit up
Yeah.
on my own and then being able to like sit on the edge of my bed by myself and then being able to like actually stand up and being able to hold my own weight and then being able to just like walk to the bathroom and then being able to like, walk just a few steps and then it progressed from there. And I think just the little stuff, like it's the stuff that people don't realize happens. I was still a kid and it
Yeah.
knocked me, completely to the ground pretty much. And I had to basically rebuild
Yeah.
you know,
So
from,
small wins. Look at that. And you were able to, but you accomplished that. You had a great staff, medical staff. We had great medical staff. You had great services through OT and PT and all. Of course,
yeah, of
Dr. Shad leading the whole thing. She was
course.
not going to let a stone unturned in your care.
No, no, absolutely. And I also got lucky. My brother-in-law happened to also be doing his
Residency,
fellowship
right?
residency
Yeah.
at Georgetown, and so he also was involved in that process
Yeah.
as well.
I know this next question is kind of a big topic, but we're just going to just brush upon it just to, as we wrap up here. But what
Yeah.
should people know about being a cancer survivor, especially from a child's perspective and survivorship?
Yeah, I think there's this sort of thing that happens where like once you're in remission and you're done with treatment, people have this idea that like, oh, everything just goes back to normal and it's just like you're just good to go and it's all good. And like unfortunately that's not the case. And so I still, even though I'm almost 25 years out, like I still have to go in for blood workups once a year. I still have to go in for EKGs and echocardiograms once a year. I still have to,
Yep.
there's still long-term effects dealing with things like
Yes.
guilt, which does
Yes.
not prepare you for, dealing with things like PTSD and kind of the mental, emotional, and psychological effects of going through treatment at that age and
Yeah.
long-term side effects physically. And, there's a lot of things that can happen even if you've been out of treatment for a long period of
That's
time.
right.
There are still things that can show up later on down the road that have to do with having been through treatment at that age. And so I think there are some areas that, that we're just starting to have conversations about that are things that a lot of people are not aware of.
Yeah. Dr. Aziza Shad, she's at Sinai now in Baltimore, but she is a forerunner with the late effects clinics. And
Yeah.
she's pushing, pushing, pushing for folks like Ryan, who's 31, you at 40,
Yeah.
and all these kids who are surviving, but
Yeah.
there's still things that we have to get checked up on, right?
For
Yeah.
sure. And
And
so I
then
think
there's survivor
I think
guilt.
the skill is one that they just don't prepare you for.
Yeah. Did you say the survivor guilt? I know that you mentioned that once before.
Yeah, yeah, the survivor. So I was just with a group on Saturday night that every single family who was there unfortunately had lost a child,
Yeah.
and I was the only survivor at that particular event, and it was hard to not go into the downward spiral of the survivor's
Yeah.
guilt and feel bad
Yes.
like they didn't get to have their kids be there and that they had lost their kids and that I was like, well, what makes me different? What makes me special compared to them? And how come I'm here and they're not? And it's not fair.
Yes.
They should get to be here and their families don't get to see them grow up and they get this. So it's like there's just and being that I am a long-term survivor, it's hard not to be like, I feel like I'm kind of rubbing it in their face and like
No.
being like, hey, guess what? I'm still
No,
here.
I don't
Like,
think that.
and it was hard to like not,
Think
you know,
that.
go into that,
Yeah.
you know. So
But I'm
there's the
sure they love you and you were, life of the party kind of thing. Probably
yeah,
appreciate that actually, I would say, Brittany, because I know you enough. So, and
yeah.
you're so
I
bubbly
try to
and lovable.
I try to be as positive as possible and try to find the silver lining and try to have a positive attitude as much as I possibly can.
Right. So that was kind of on a negative thing, but we're going to bring this home, Brittany, because my word of for the last 4 years has been celebration.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
and I keep it up here because my word of the year, I have to keep it, and it just keeps coming back. That's
absolutely.
every January or December 31st. I'm always saying, what's my going to my word? And I keep coming back to that. No matter what, small wins we talk about, that's a celebration. But you,
Absolutely. And
we're going to end this on a positive note because, as Brittany said, she is going to be celebrating 25 cancer anniversary in December,
yeah,
in January. I'm sorry, January.
the 17th of 2026.
Right.
And that's a huge milestone and not one that, very many of us get to reach. And so we'll definitely do something big to celebrate that for sure. And I think I think every day just being thankful, being grateful and appreciative for
That's
every day that
exactly right. But not
we
only
got.
that, we're celebrating the fact that once Brittany recovered from the
Mm.
terribleness that she just shared with us, but she also graduated from high school in a tough high school in Bethesda,
Yeah.
Maryland, right? Were you in
High
Bethesda?
school was 4 years, moved across the country 6 months into my senior year, and
Yep.
went to college, graduated college,
Yes.
went on to meet the man of my dreams and have that dream wedding. And
Like a
um,
Disney princess, right?
absolutely. And now my husband has made us Disney annual pass holders here in Florida. And I get to have a life that I was not supposed to have.
Right. Or you couldn't see it. You couldn't see it when you were 15.
No, no, absolutely not. There was no
No.
way that any of this would have been on the radar at this point. But as my sister likes to tell me, it's just like, not only do your cancer free anniversary, she was like, that's not a 1 day deal. She was like, you get to celebrate that all
Yeah.
year round. It's not you know, because every day that you got is a win. And
That's true.
so
And
yeah.
Brittany and I, and even her parents, we've been able to stay in contact through, of course, social media. But you and I have had some phone calls and some, texting back and forth. And it's just been a wonderful,
Yeah, we've been really lucky to know that Ryan is still here, and I think there's a few of us that are still around, and it's amazing to know that you know Dr. Shad has been able to work her magic, and
absolutely, just like another Disney princess.
yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
So, Brittany Ross, thank you so much. This has been a wonderful wrap up for this whole month of September. And I thank everyone who's listening and watching this. And then the notes that I have on my blog are all going to be there for by the end of the day. So we just wrap up September of Childhood Cancer Awareness and go gold. Let's go gold, Brittany.
Absolutely, 100%.
All right. Thanks so much.